Welcome into a live edition of the KC Laboratory presented by Emprise Bank member FDIC. Our amazing partners in Possible here at KC Sports Network. And hey, look, Mondays are usually Matter Days. Weirdly, not a Matter Day because Matt Hamilton was in KC today. And he had to take a flight out, so he can't be here for the show. It's just the most ironic thing. Hamilton's in town for KC, and we can't do a Matter Days, but that's okay. We got to hang out. All right, me and sorry, not to make you feel jealous, Maddie, but me and Tuck got to hang out with Hamilton on Saturday night. Went and got some sushi with him downtown. It was a great time. Took a picture, and Hamilton's doing great. I am here with Maddie Lane, though. Maddie, how are we?
We're doing good. It's been a weekend. We are untickled. Tonsils are doing well. So we are making it through.
I'm gonna need a minute to recover from that one.
That's what happens. That's what your follow-up might have been worse. Yeah. So anyway, the Chiefs didn't have, it wasn't fun losing on Thanksgiving, and then you have the long time off to digest, and you got to watch a bunch of other NFL teams and everything, and things didn't exactly go great for the Chiefs. If we're looking at the playoff picture the rest of the weekend, will it matter? Maybe not. Maybe we'll talk about that later. But yeah, it wasn't the best weekend for Chiefs football, but at least we had some fun college football that we got to watch along the way.
Yeah, I did a little draft work this weekend, some conversations beginning there in earnest. Like there's some good times being had there. We got plenty to talk about though for this game. But before we do anything, there's only a few days left. If you want to contribute to the Soul of KC holiday raffle and toy drive, we do this every single year. This is our 5th annual year doing it, and all of the money that we raise goes towards supporting the incredible kids at Operation Breakthrough. And so what we do every year is a raffle. You get 1 ticket for $10, 5 tickets for $25, 15 tickets for $50, 50 tickets for $100, and a year paid KCSN premium newsletter subscription. But we raffle for all kinds of prizes, just all kinds of different things that we've got a bunch of signed Chiefs memorabilia, some pop culture memorabilia as well. You can see there's a list there. But the link is in the description of the show, or you can go to givebutter.com/KCSNSoul, or you can Venmo KC Sports Network. But again, all this money is going to go towards helping buy a bunch of things that a lot of kids in the KC Metro need. Our wonderful partners at Dick's Sporting Goods do a great job of helping and supporting this initiative. And we're going to be at Dick's Sporting Goods this weekend buying a bunch of things for these kids that need it. So helping them have a great Christmas when they otherwise wouldn't. So please consider donating to that, entering that raffle, and you can see all the great prizes that we have available for a bunch of winners. So make sure you check that out. We appreciate you and your support of KC Sports Network and the KCSN Foundation. All righty. So hey, we get through the Thanksgiving weekend, the heads clear a little bit. I was down the most bad after that Thursday game, man. I'm still down. Don't get me wrong. I'm still, but like,
game.
it really stunk. Actually, you know what? We'll get into we'll get into hope later.
Well, no, maybe. Yeah, I want to hear. No. Why were you down bad? Did something bring you out of it? Like, just how are you feeling right now about the Kansas City Chiefs? That's what I want to know.
I think there's a lot of opposing thoughts in my head, and that game ended. Like, that game was another gotta have it moment for this team that they failed. And the offensive line appears to be significantly depleted now, with both tackles being out before that game even finishes. And I just not a ton of optimism. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if Andy really provided an update on Jawan Taylor. He provided some level of update on Josh Simmons. That's a really banged up, beat up offensive line. And then time just kind of heals wounds a little bit. And you just say, okay, the Chiefs toughest games left are all at home. The Chiefs have been amazing at home. They've got 2 really easy matchups on the road against the Raiders and against the Titans. So if they can just win out at home against these 3 good playoff teams or seemingly playoff teams, hey, you're right where you need to be. I do think looking at it a little bit closer, 11-6 will get them into the playoffs. I didn't even feel like that was going to be the case. So run the table and you make the playoffs. Run the table, you make the playoffs. I've been talking myself into it a lot more as the week has gone on.
Interesting.
I know. But at the same time, I'm also just like, I don't know if the offensive line can hold up even against this Texans team this week. So and I think one game kind of kills it. This one does it.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know, man. A lot of opposing ideas.
They used their mulligan on Thanksgiving right after the comeback versus the Colts that was supposed to wake them up and make it like, oh, they get it now, right? They get it. They can't just sleepwalk through this stuff. They got to really scratch and claw to win these games to make themselves the playoffs. And then they immediately came out and blew the mulligan. They immediately came out, and I definitely don't want to say nobody cared. They didn't try hard because I don't think that was the takeaway whatsoever. They just came out and were unfocused, made a bunch of mistakes, and I don't want to quibble about the refs again, but they did make mistakes or put themselves in positions to potentially make mistakes over and over again, to the fact that, hey, it played a big role in the game that they kept getting called for penalties or soft penalties or kind of penalties, kind of not, like whatever it is, they just came out and didn't put themselves in the right spot. So like, I don't know, man, we're sitting here saying all they got to do is fix it. They got to wake up. They got to fix it. They got to lock in. Why'd they not lock in out of the bye? Why'd they not lock in after the Broncos game? Why'd they not lock in after they made the comeback against the Colts to give them some real momentum and life? Like, why all of a sudden is losing by 1 score to the Dallas Cowboys going to make them lock in? I don't know. So I don't think I've quite come to the same optimism that you have from hey, they can, they might turn this around. We're going to play the schedule game later, right? A little bit. And so there's a chance. Like, they're not eliminated yet, but I'd say I'm definitely a little bit lower right now than it sounds like you are, because I don't know why it's going to change now. And I'll tell you what, I can't do many more of these Andy pressers right now. I know this is who Andy is. I know this is him. Very stoic. Never going to say a bad thing about anybody. I get it. I understand. I can only hear so many times, we just got to fix little things, that we're really close, that 2 or 3 plays swung this whole game. That's all fine. That's all true. Guess what? You don't have to win every game by 1 score. Maybe if instead of those 2 or 3 plays were better, the whole game was better, you could make those 2 or 3 mistakes and it wouldn't be a problem. You could make a bunch of little mistakes if you were playing better everywhere else, but you're not. And the fact that we just keep harping on just a couple mistakes, just got to fix these couple mistakes. We were 2 or 3 plays away from winning the game. Yeah, that's true, but why don't you focus on the big picture of why you're in a position where 2 or 3 plays is the difference between you missing the playoffs and making the playoffs? So I am running out of patience for hearing the exact same phrases after every single game right now.
I'm not talking out both sides of my mouth, I promise you, but I can also equally be irritated with those things, some of these things that are happening while talking myself into the Chiefs figuring it out, finding the championship DNA, running the table, and then being the scariest 7 seed in the history of football. Which, by the way, I've been playing around on the playoff predictor. I think the Chiefs still probably wind up sneaking in as the 7 seed.
So you think they went out?
If they do it, that's how they're doing it.
Yeah, as I said, they're not getting the 7 seed by not winning out.
Yeah, they have to win out. I think 1 loss dooms them. I do think 1 loss dooms them. I think they've got to win out. They got to run the table. I think they also have their toughest game of the season right now against the Houston Texans. I think this is and we'll talk about that bit here in a little bit as well. But yeah, I'm irritated with the Andy stuff, like all of it, like trying to add perspective about Thanksgiving right after the Chiefs just lost the game against the Cowboys.
Yeah, what are we doing? We all love each other. That's what matters. It doesn't matter that we lost. We all love each other. That's the most important thing. I know it's not exactly what he said, but that was just a wild way to kick off the presser of a game that you lost when you're fighting for your playoff life. Was we have to remember the important things.
Yeah, like I don't need perspective right now, Andy. I need y'all to stop committing PI. Like I need you I need you guys to find some offensive consistency. Like,
Yeah.
that's what I need. That's really what I want right now.
Why don't you guys
Sorry.
all get along together on the field and not talk about the world getting along together? Like, what?
Oh, the Andy stuff, like he's been saying stuff like this for years, and sometimes it's been true, right? And it's just we need to fix
Sure.
the little things, and they fix the little things, and they win 10 one-score games in one season, and it's no big deal. It
Yeah,
just doesn't
if
work.
you're 11-1 and you drop a one-score game to the Cowboys on Thanksgiving and that's your takeaway from it, 2 thumbs up. You're probably right. When you're 500 and out of the play, picking 13th overall in the NFL draft, that's probably not a time for the 6th time this year to talk about the little things and being 1 or 2 plays away. Like, it's just the timing of it. And again, like you're saying, I don't mean to keep cutting, like, that's Andy though. That's how he's going to talk. It's just, it's definitely falling a lot for me. Now it's falling on way more deaf ears than it has in the past because of the situation they're in. No clue about how it falls the team, like, the team around there, but like, it would be really nice for just everybody to just kind of like actually flip the switch that people keep saying they're going to flip, because it's not flipping right now.
And I just, like, the thing, like I said, I go back and forth. The thing that makes me question, I think we'll find out against Houston. They may just not have that switch this year.
Yeah.
They may just not have it. And I think, and you know what we've said, I think we've said something to this effect several straight weeks. It's like every benchmark opportunity has been in front of them the last few weeks, and they failed them all. So what gives us the reason and the optimism to say that they're just all of a sudden going to flip this switch now that everything's out of the picture? Now that they can't get the 1 seed, now that they can't win the division, now that they're losing ground in the playoff race, like, maybe they have it, maybe they don't. We're going to find out pretty much this week. I will say, like, Maddie, like, you're talking about, like, some of the talking yourself into 10 days of rest, and like, that Dallas team might be a little bit better than we think they are. I think they're better than they're getting credit for at this point. I think the version that you saw that struggled early in the season is not the same team that you saw this last week. And I'm not saying that they're great, but I think they're a pretty good football team. They'd probably make the playoffs in the AFC right now. But yeah, those are some of the things. Like, if you can just figure out the tackle situation against Houston, I think you got a shot. I think you got a shot. I think if you beat Houston, I think you can run the table. Anything else on that Cowboys game?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, like, have you gone back and rewatched it? Did you have any new takes or anything now that, spoiler, we recorded our last lab like Friday before I think either of us got to really sit down and rewatch the game, right? So, like, I just didn't know if going back, if you'd rewatched it now and had any other takes from that game that, that you wanted to get off.
It's a lot of, I think the offense is predictable. 2nd and 19 all hitch. I know everybody's been talking about that all week. The Cowboys had that scouted out really well too.
3-man spacing on 2nd and 19 was insane.
Yeah, base protection, all hitches. You've got 2 to the field, 1 to the boundary. The boundary's squatting on it a little bit more than the field, so maybe the field hitch.
The tight end and running back both block the D-end too. Neither one of them go to release. They both square up and block the D-end. There was obviously a miscommunication there, and then maybe that saves the play a little bit if one of them, probably the tight end, releases more vertical. Maybe I don't know. The play was gross. The whole concept was gross. And I think I'm gonna do a film room for the Discord tomorrow sometime, just looking at some plays. I clipped them out already about the Chiefs offense and just like how they're not stressing the right areas of the field, or sometimes it doesn't feel like they're trying to stress anything. They're just kind of literally just kind of running around, and how annoying it is. So I think that's coming up. So I don't even want to talk about the offense anymore, because I feel like we've done that all year. Defense, offensively, when I watched that game, the only time the Chiefs offense didn't work is when they faced 1st or 2nd and 20. Like every other drive, essentially they were operating just fine, besides when they set themselves back with penalties. So like, what can you do about that, right? Like, what can you really do? Yes, the offense should execute a little better. I'm not saying there's not room for improvement, but I mean, like, they ultimately were fine when they weren't getting the penalties. Defensively, they really let them down defensively. My Lord, watching that back, it was even worse. They had no answer, and they blitzed a ton, and Dak was destroying them. And like, it was like they had nothing. They didn't they didn't know what to do when the blitz wasn't working, so they just kept sending it. And I don't think it was stubbornness. I think they literally said, we don't know what else to do. We know we can't cover your guys right now, and the blitz isn't getting home, so let's just, I don't know. They blitzed a lot more than I guess they should have, because Dak started eating the blitz up really well. Like, by halftime, it was pretty obvious they weren't going to get home with it anymore, and they just kept trying. And that obviously wasn't the answer.
And we talked about it. It's like there's a double-edged sword. If you don't get home, you're giving yourself a severe disadvantage in the back end against two of the best receivers in football. And that proved to be true for the course of that game. They got absolutely dominated. And they just did uncharacteristic things, like giving up explosive runs, giving up explosive passes that we don't really see them do all that often. Just didn't have answers for anything. And the timing when they brought pressure was terrible, and the Cowboys picked it up and had no problems with it. And then Shamari Connor's guarding CeeDee Lamb down the field. Shamari Connor's not guarding anyone right now. So, it was brutal, man. I mean, I don't know. I don't think they have any answers. I don't think the Chiefs have a Spags problem. I think they have a defensive talent problem, and they need to completely overhaul it. I think next season needs to look a lot different on defense than it does this year, and they need an injection of talent significantly on that side of the ball if they want to kind of get some things figured out. And you know what? If they don't make the playoffs, they might be in position to take a decent defensive tackle. So we'll see where that goes. We got all time to talk about the draft. Hopefully we're not having to talk about it for, another month or two, because the Chiefs are in the playoffs and, doing the funniest thing ever. We're going to take a break. We'll be back right after this.
I'm Brett Goodwin, one of the owners of The Learning Tree. The Learning Tree is a neighborhood toy store in Prairie Village, Kansas. This has been here in this location since 2000s, and my husband Alan and I purchased the store in 2023. Alan and I grew up in families where we've always wanted to have a business together. Alan grew up, for instance, his parents had a jewelry store. I worked in a local toy store here in Prairie Village when I was growing up. When this opportunity happened in 2023, we knew right away we wanted to contact them and pursue the store. We wouldn't have been able to get the store without the team at Emprise Bank. From the day we contacted them, they knew what we needed to do, which was very helpful. I would absolutely recommend the team at Emprise Bank to anyone looking to secure a business. We worked with Emprise from day one. They were extremely helpful. They were always great resources. We talk to them frequently. They know the area. They're very friendly. We know who we're going to talk with, and they know what we need to do. We hope we'll see you at the Learning Tree.
Missouri, your moment is finally here, because DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is now live in your state. Now you can make every game even more exciting with same-game parlays, money lines, props, and more, all from your phone, all safe, secure, and easy to use. Missouri fans know game day. The tailgates, the noise, the passion. Now with DraftKings Sportsbook, you can bring that same energy to every snap, every touchdown, every win. And right now, new Missouri customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. No waiting, no nonsense, just pure action powered by America's top-rated sportsbook app. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code KCSN. New Missouri customers bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. That's code KCSN. The crown is yours. In partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus, physically present in Missouri. Eligibility and restrictions apply. Terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
All right, Tuck. That was, if you're an audio only listener, go watch the show tonight. Please do that. That was fun.
I didn't tell you that was going to play either.
No, you did not, and I enjoyed every minute of it.
We knew the premise was coming.
Mm-hmm.
We did not know the execution would be so flawless. That's one thing we did not know.
There's another read out there that I did for another ad copy that only got to air one time, and it is in a KCSN show. And it only got to air one time, and I think the one that I just aired here is better than the other one, but if people go find the other one, it's in a That Football Show on like a Friday.
Why you dropping it like it's an Easter egg or something? Like, you're like,
It is.
It
It is an Easter egg. It has to be an Easter egg. But I'm curious what people think.
I gotta go see that now. That's great. That's awesome. I said, hey, look, this team needs defensive talent overhaul in 2026. The problem is the Chiefs have 5 games left in the 2025 season. Time is running out for this team if they want to try to figure things out and make the playoffs. They, like we said, they've got to win out. The defense has to be better. There's so many things broken with this defense right now. We thought we'd maybe just talk a little bit about like what we think could change. Is there changes that could make right now? If we want to try to see this defense make some, take some steps, just get marginally better so they can give themselves a better shot. Because like they're not holding their end of the bargain. They're not getting those stops that they used to get to give Patrick Mahomes as consistently a chance to win at the end of the game. They're still doing it to a degree, but just not to the same clip. So Matty Lane, what do you think there is? What tweaks, what adjustments, what could be done at this point, this late in the season, to try to get this defense right?
Well, so you had said earlier that you don't think the Chiefs have a Spags problem, and I don't think it's a Spags problem necessarily, but I do think there's a little bit of Spags' defense when he left the Giants was getting a little outdated for what was being seen. And he was actually very open about how in his time off before becoming the DC of the Chiefs, how he was going to college programs and learning like what teams were doing, how they were defending some of the spread stuff, because he didn't think he had a great understanding of it. And so he came back to Kansas City and obviously had a lot of really good adjustments that he was able to get a defense that probably wasn't the most talented to punch above their weight class in big moments, in specific, and like in these big single game matchups in the playoffs. I think we're kind of coming up to that point again where his current defense is a little bit outdated for what offenses are doing. And more so, it's not as bad as the offense right now, but more so, hey man, you can't get a bunch of 265-pound defensive ends that can't rush the passer and then never stunt or twist or play games up front, right? You can't get pressure. Your entire rush plan can't be built around one guy, Chris Jones, right now, like it has been one in the past. But in the past, you also had, in big games, you had Frank Clark. You brought in other guys that were a little more effective than what you're getting right now. But also Chris Jones is an older guy. So like the entire pass rush plan can't be built around one guy right now. Teams are too good at handling it. And then there's other teams that have similar size profiles that you want out of your defensive lines. But guess where they find them? You find them in like, the top right of the charts of most stunts in games and things like that. And then the Chiefs are like the left side of like never doing it. The personnel doesn't align with how he wants to just let these guys not even pin their ears back, but just rush one-on-ones, right? I guess is the moral of the story. And if they're going to continue to have big, stiff, run-defending defensive ends, that's fine because they get high motor guys. They're kind of linearly explosive. You need to run more games, run more twists. Let George Karlaftis go ear-hole a guard so a defensive tackle can loop around it. Let Ashton Gelati get in there and just run a giant loop 2 gaps away and see if he gets through there. Line him up in the B gap and have him loop outside. Mike Dane is pretty strong for his size. Let him just go club a tackle in his inside ear and see if you can create some space. They just don't do that at all. And I think that is the lowest hanging fruit of where you can immediately turn this pass rush into from absolutely horrendous into maybe there's something there. Maybe you can create enough chaos that something can be had.
I think I saw you bring this up on social media a little bit today. Just talking about like their rates of usage of the stunts is lower than it's been ever in the Spags era. Is this the lowest it's ever been in the Spags era?
They're always at the bottom. Like they're always in the bottom couple teams. They're very effective when they do it, but like when I think it boils down to like 1 or 2 a game. Like they're effective. They just never do it.
Mm-hmm. Part of me just wonders, like you talk about like the lack of games. The more games you're running, if you're not like, okay, so if you want to run a game opposite Chris or something like that, all right, well, you've got a lot going on there and you got a lack of gap discipline potentially from Chris. Is it a personnel decision where you're saying, you know what? We don't feel like we can have good rush lane integrity. We don't feel like we can have good rush integrity if we are trying to run a bunch of games in conjunction with kind of letting Chris freestyle. That's, I think, where the opposing ideas kind of hit. So how do you counteract that, right? Well, Chris isn't effective as effective play in, play out. Do you reduce the snaps to let him be more effective and play some more games when he's not in? And I mean, yeah, that's a little bit predictable, but you only got 5 games left. Like, I mean, like, you know, like there's only so much time left here anyway. So like maybe there's just like maybe there's just like a little bit of like maybe you let Chris have a little bit less burn so he's fresher for the 70% of snaps he runs. And then you try to piece some things together with some games up front. And like you've got pieces that can run games well. You've got good complementary assignment sound rushers all over that group. Like George, Dana. I think Gelati could be effective in some of these as a looper. Like let Gelati insert in there. Like I think some good things could happen. So like, yeah, Maddie, I don't hate that idea at all.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think you just said, I don't think Spags has ever been a big stunt guy. Like even going back to the oldest Giants defense with Strahan and Tuck and all those guys, I don't think it was so much of stunts. It would just be, hey, we're going to move some defensive ends to the inside. We'll move them around, but we're going to gear up a bunch of one-on-one winners and we're going to take advantage. And that's kind of how they've been in Kansas City too. And it worked when Chris Jones demanded a double or he won or was beating the doubles relatively frequently. And then, yes, you did have guys that would step up like Frank Clark at some points in times. George Karlaftis had a couple stretches where it seemed like he was kind of winning, not this year, but where he was winning a little bit quicker and was making up for it. It's just that's not happening now. So you got to get away from this. This isn't working. And I think you kind of said there, I think Spags is terrified of losing the run game battle. And he's terrified of losing contain on quarterbacks. Those are the two things that I think in his mind says, oh no, my defense doesn't work if we can't contain the quarterback and they just constantly scrambled through all of our exotic pressures and coverage rotations. And if the run game gets off the ground and keeps the offense constantly in running downs or neutral downs, I can't get as exotic as I want. So logically, I understand why he wants to stop the run and have gap discipline in his pass rush. It's not working right now. It's simply not working. You've got to do something else. And guess what? If you look at the other teams around the NFL, they figured out how to stunt into escape lanes for quarterbacks. Yeah, it probably isn't going to happen from day one. There's probably going to be a learning curve where if you play the Bills again, Josh Allen busts a 30-yard run on you because you do lose discipline trying to stunt around. But look how many times Mahomes tries to escape the pocket right into a looper because they're kind of accounting for it by where they are bringing these stunts and twists from. So the fact that they don't do that with the personnel they have is wild to me because I look at teams like the Rams who get a lot of pressure, but like besides Jared Verse, it's a lot of guys that just win on stunts, twists, and games. And even Jared Verse wins a ton off of those. You look at the Broncos right now. Nick Bonino is a great rusher off the edge. Look how all those other guys are getting their pressures. A lot of stunts, a lot of twists, a lot of games. There's a reason those things work out. Not every team is the Houston Texans that has Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter that can just run back there and win over and over again. Not everybody has Myles Garrett. You don't have a pass rusher at those guys' level anymore. You have to adapt. And I don't think they have. And I understand the rationale for it, but if something's going to change the rest of this year, I don't magically see the linebackers getting better in coverage. Don't see the safeties all of a sudden figuring everything out or the third corner spot. I think it's going to have to come with them figuring out a way to get pressure. And outside of Chris Jones just turning back the clock 3 years, I think this is the easiest and like most basic way they could probably do it.
I think that's it's a logical fix. I have a hard time believing the Chiefs will do it. I have a hard time believing.
Same.
Yeah, I don't think that they will go out of their way to lean into that and just try. Because like you said, maybe the next time you play Josh Allen, the rush lane integrity is terrible and this team gets the rush lane is terrible and they get gashed. The next time they play Josh Allen might be the playoffs. So you can't afford that. You don't have time to do that. So like I don't think they're going to make wholesale changes. I just wonder if you could see a little bit of, just a little game plan change with Chris on versus Chris off, and maybe you lean into giving Chris a little bit more of a breather so he can go out and do the thing that he's so good at more consistently. So, other than that, it's like, personnel changes, maybe who's playing in the slot, is Shamari Connor even seeing the field anymore? But like, I don't think that's moving the needle such to a point that it's all of a sudden everything is just drastically different either.
Well, I mean, like, what's the fix at safety? Like, right? Brian Cook, it doesn't sound like he's going to be out for a long time, but is he going to be back right away? So if you're taking Shamari Connor off the field altogether, we saw what happened with Jaden.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, like, we saw what happened with Jaden Hicks pretty early. Like, he's a fine player to put in spots, but like, he's not been great this year when he's been on the field. Mike Edwards, hey, cool to come on back, and I'm glad they brought him back because they needed him. But like, that man's running in mud all the time right now. I don't think that he can play out there either. So like, they are definitely kind of stuck with that safety rotation because they don't have anybody to not only replace Shamari Connor, but also fill in for Brian Cook. So like, yeah, I just don't see any personnel change. We're too far in the year, I think, to have a personnel change because there's nobody the Chiefs are playing a little bit that is ready for more snaps, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the personnel change you got out of the bye week was Chris Roland Wallace, who played well in the slot. And like, maybe he comes back and the coverage unit looks a little better again because he's a better slot corner than Shamari Connor is. That allows you to play Watson and Trent McDuffie. And like, maybe that's your personnel change. But outside that, we're too late. It's too late to just throw somebody else out there and think things get better. We've seen everybody they have to offer. And outside wanting more reps from Noel Williams, there's not much you can do. And even that means you're taking reps away from Jalen Watson, Trent McDuffie, or Roland Wallace when he's healthy. And like, all those guys prove that they should play a little bit. I mean, play probably more as well. So I don't think they have any personnel changes they can make.
The Noel Williams, a lot on social media has been irritating, more so than normal lately. The Noel Williams discourse has been so weird because like, I think there's people that legitimately think that like the coaching staff doesn't have eyes or something like that and didn't watch what he's done over the course of the season. Like, very obviously when it's a young player like that, there's context missing that's happening between game days. That is why they're probably not playing much. And that's just what's so like irritating to me is like, it's probably something they don't feel confident that he can execute the calls the way they want, or maybe he's not as consistently executing the calls the way that they want, and PFF's not able to pick up on that. It's just like, I don't know, man. I understand the frustration, but I don't think that like this coaching staff just lacks eyes. There's very clearly reasons that he's not playing. And yeah, maybe we can argue that there's some rigidity to how Steve Spagnuolo has operated and the level of trust needs to change. I'll hear that a little bit. But yeah, that's the only argument I think exists. And when that context isn't presented, it drives me nuts.
Right. Well, and again, to the point, like, okay, you want to put Noel Williams out there. Who's losing reps, right? Are we taking Jalen Watson off the field? No. Are we taking McDuffie off the field? No. So Chris Roland Wallace, when he's healthy, it feels like coming out of the bye, that's the guy they wanted to give some run. And like, I think Noel Williams did a very good job. He looked very promising to start this year when he got in there. Roland Wallace was equally as promising and good in the slot and those, game and a half, 2 games coming out of the bye week. So why are we so quick to want to get him off the field, right? Like, yes, I was annoyed when Christian Fulton started playing over Noel Williams and it clearly wasn't working. Guess what? The team quickly remedied that and he's no longer playing. It's just, there's not really a clear spot for Noel Williams to slot back in and play more reps right now. I could hear, I guess, the debate that instead of slipping Shamari Connor down into the slot to put Trent McDuffie there and Noel Williams outside when Roland Wallace isn't available, they could have considered that versus Dallas. Don't think it would have mattered because Trent McDuffie was getting just as sunned by CeeDee Lamb as Shamari Connor was. Like, it wasn't as if Trent McDuffie was stopping CeeDee Lamb in the game anyway, right? So I don't know. I feel like the personnel decisions, they're kind of limited. If they find a way for Noel Williams to play, that's awesome. It's just the 3 corners that are ahead of him right now, when they are healthy, seem like they're worthy of being ahead of him right now.
The Chiefs have 5 games remaining in their schedule in the regular season. They've got to win out. I'll talk about it in a little bit, but I do have some hope here if they can win out. There's 5 games left. We thought we'd just look at the remaining schedule and just kind of look at, okay, from easiest to most difficult, what do these games look like? So we're just gonna rank them. Why not?
Can I sidetrack you real quick? I'm sorry, but there's a lot of people in the chat that just keep asking about Shamari Connor and what's the excuse and why Shamari Connor and stuff like that, right? Because Shamari Connor, when just playing pure safety, has been fine. You don't want him in the slot. We all agree we don't want Shamari Connor in the slot, but he's a pretty good run defender when he's playing safety. He does a pretty good job playing shallow zones as a safety when he's stepping down. Like, he has been a completely fine safety. He's not great in coverage, like man coverage. We all agree with that. He's not good in the slot. But here's what we have to remember. Shamari Connor has played in the slot. He started the year playing 20, 17, 35, 34, 24, 16 snaps in the slot, 30 snaps in the slot. And then coming out of the bye week, they reduced it 14, 10, 13. I'm going to guess that a lot of those are coming in base defense, early downs. He's stepping down in the slot. He's no longer a slot corner. Yes, it jumped back up against the Cowboys, and I think that was because of Roland Wallace. And like I said, I could hear that argument. But in terms of just rep in and rep out, they're not trying to play Connor in the slot anymore. He's only in the slot when guys are healthy, when they're in base defense and they want to walk another safety down. He is no longer your primary slot corner. Yeah, he gets beat when he gets put there, just like a lot of team safeties get beat when they don't want to play him in the slot. Now, if we're talking about replacing him as a safety, Jaden Hicks hasn't been good. Mike Edwards just got here. And again, like, I don't know, that lack of speed that you would have with Edwards back there would be a little nerve-wracking, especially playing with Cook, because you kind of use Connor as more of your strong safety, your box guy. I get it. Shamari Connor's not been great this year. It's just, I don't know if they have a better option at pure safety, and they clearly are trying not to play him in the slot when guys are healthy.
That's good context. Now, tell me, what game is easier for the Kansas City Chiefs?
Okay, I have to go pull it back up now.
At the Tennessee Titans or at the Las Vegas Raiders in Week 18? What game is easier?
Oh, the Raiders. That team's given up. The Titans show like a little bit of fight, like not a lot, but there's a little bit. That Raiders team, they are so far done. Definitely. I think the Raiders is definitely easier.
Week 18 Raiders also could be special. Week 18 Raiders is Ashton Genty's hamstring and Max Crosby's.
He's already given up. Seen him out there? Ashton Genty doesn't care. He wants to be anywhere else. He's praying to be back in Boise.
He'd rather be standing up there straight like Sabrina Carpenter, out back at Boise again. All right, so we'll go. Raiders is the easiest in Week 18. I think you're right. Tennessee is very clearly Week 16 at Tennessee number 2. Both of them are very easy. Yeah. Both of them are extremely easy.
I think this is pretty easy to stack and rank. Honestly, I could buy an argument for Tennessee right over the Raiders. Week 16, there's probably a little bit more juice there for the Titans, right? It's not the end of the year. It's not your final game. There's probably a little more juice. The Raiders, that team is spiraling down.
I think those are the two.
I'm looking here real quick. Yeah.
The third on the list is the Los Angeles Chargers at home. I think 100%. That's super easy.
Oh my God. The Raiders schedule too. Broncos, Eagles, Texans, Giants, Chiefs. The team is going to want nothing to do with anything by that game.
They're going to be so cooked. With the Chargers, do you think that they are close to that upper tier we're about to talk about? Or are they? I think they're a pure standalone, and I don't think it's close. I think this is a different Chargers team. Here's one thing I'll say about the AFC West this year, or just the AFC period. A lot of these teams that are making the ascent are benefactors of easy scheduling. Like, when you look at some of these teams that are sitting at the top of the AFC right now, having a not first place schedule right now has been very beneficial for a lot of these teams. And so timing has been really good for some of these teams too. There's been some schedule luck for some of these teams at the top of the division, in the top of the AFC. And I don't know. The Chargers, I don't buy them still. Are they an upper echelon team like the next two matchups we're gonna talk about, or are they a standalone? Where do they sit for you, Matt?
I think that they have their own little tier. I think they're definitely above the Raiders and the Titans, but they are going to be below the Broncos and the Texans, the other two teams we're going to talk about here. That offensive line is just not good at all, right? And that makes the offense very uneven. It makes them very inconsistent. And while Herbert can definitely have a Dak Prescott level game where he plays amazing, and not that the rest of the team around him was bad, but like they could kind of do something similar to that where they just operate very clean and have a lot of right answers. But if we're going to just like game out the ways the Chargers can beat you, it kind of has to be Justin Herbert plays an amazing game behind a terrible offensive line. The defense is good, but I don't think it's like elite like the other two teams we're going to talk about. So yeah, I think they're standalone. And I guess the wild card is Justin Herbert just had surgery on his hand. It's his non-throwing hand, but he did just have surgery on his hand. How is he going to be for that, right? We saw Aaron Rodgers essentially get knocked out of the game for the Steelers because he took a hard hit. And I mean, I don't know what the injury was for, but like, I'm pretty sure he has an or a non-throwing hand injury or a shoulder.
Forearm or something like that.
Yeah. So it's just like, you know what I mean? I know Herbert had surgery today as we're recording this. They think he's going to play this week, which makes sense. It's just, you know what I mean? That injury could throw a curveball and make it a slightly even easier game. So yeah, clearly a standalone game for me.
I think it's very comfortably a tier below the next two games that we're going to talk about. And those two games are very obviously Denver Broncos at home, Houston Texans at home. And if I am stacking them, I think this game against the Houston Texans is the hardest game remaining in the year. In the context of this Chiefs offensive line being so beat up and the Chiefs finishing the game against Dallas with 40% of their starting offensive line, I am terrified of that defensive line that the Houston Texans have and that defense in general. And the offense has been showing some signs of life lately. I am more scared right now of the Houston Texans game this week than I am the Denver Broncos game. Do you share the same sentiments, or are you gonna go pure Matty Lane and be completely contrarian on this?
Okay. So I am going to, for now, assume that Josh Simmons is missing multiple games, and that's going to take him out for both of these games. So either way, the Chiefs are working on a backup left tackle situation. I don't know the status of Jawan Taylor for this upcoming week, or then obviously for the Broncos game coming out. Being unknown, I can understand how you're saying, hey, the Chiefs might be without both offensive tackles versus the Texans. That makes them really, really scary. Whereas we're kind of all, I think, anticipating at least Jawan Taylor's back for the Broncos game. It sounds like
for the Broncos game, for the Texans game.
Broncos game.
Gotcha.
So we're just, I think collectively Chiefs fans are assuming Jawan Taylor's back at least for the Texans, or by the Broncos game. Got it. Because it sounds like it's not supposed to be a long-term injury. So I can understand where you're coming at from the Texans defensive line right now today versus the Chiefs offensive line's a big mismatch. But no, I'm going with the Broncos still. I think without the left tackle, I'm already assuming there's a backup left tackle for both games. Even the difference in right tackle, I'm leaning towards the Broncos because, one, they've been a better team than the Texans all year. I think the Texans offensive line has been buns. I think that offense has been incredibly inconsistent, and I'm not going to let one recent game this past week with CJ Stroud coming back and them looking kind of good change my mind. I watched that offense. They have not been operating well. That has been a very poor offense. They lost their best running back. I don't know if he's playing this week, Woody Marks, but he left the game with a foot injury. I'm just not scared of the offense whatsoever. And the Broncos offense isn't good, but they just were good enough against the Chiefs. And like the final nail in the coffin for me is, I think this Broncos team's going to look at the Chiefs and say, we have a chance to end them. And I think it probably means more to the Broncos to end the Chiefs season, to end theoretically what could be this era of the Chiefs. I think that's going to mean more to the Broncos than it does the Texans. So having that ability to do that, to go into their house, to go into Arrowhead and do that, I think is going to mean a lot to that Broncos team, who has a lot of confidence in their ability to beat the Chiefs after what's happened the last even 3 times that they've played now. I feel like they're going to be a little bit more confident than the Texans, who have lost to the Chiefs the last 2 times.
Yeah, I get it. I just think that the inverse of it is, like, I think the Chiefs might respond differently to the Broncos after that first loss too. So, like, I think that's where things get a little bit interesting. So, like, I think that's a good point. Well, if they don't have it, they don't have it anyway. So, like,
right.
What are we doing here? What are we doing here?
I think these two teams are very much in a similar tier. I really do think they're in a similar tier. You're leaning a little bit more on the tackle situation. I think I'm going with the, like, hey, I think the Broncos might see this as a chance to, like, fully put the knife in and twist it. And I think the way these two teams are set up right now, I'm going to go with the team that's trying to twist the knife over the one that might just have a, advantage over the tackle spot.
All right. Let's do this real quick before we get out of here. We were talking a little bit about just like the playoff outlook and trying to figure out who of these teams we should be legitimately worried about and who we should probably be a little bit more dismissive of for the remainder
Can I set
of this
this up?
season. Yeah, if you want to, I was going to let you explain. I was going to let you explain what you called it.
Yes, perfect. So earlier this year, when Kent wasn't here one time, a true, honest to goodness matter day, Hammy and I did friend or foe. You guys might or fraud or foe. Fraud or foe.
There it is.
Fraud or foe. You guys might remember this. It was a lot of fun. Turns out the Chiefs were the frauds, and we didn't even put them on the list, but that's neither here nor there. We did that. It doesn't make sense to play that game again because, well, the Chiefs are well out of the playoffs. So instead, we're going to play a little game where we go through the teams ahead of the Chiefs in the AFC standings, and we try to decide hawk or chalk. Now, it's not quite as simple as friend or foe, but I think you guys will get it. Are the teams that we're about to say, are they able to be hawked down by the Chiefs, as in they are able to be caught? We're all football fans here. We know what it means to say somebody gets hawked down. Or is it chalk, as in dead, over, can't even attempt it? I think it's pretty simple here, Kent. I think you understand the rules. Don't screw this up. It is a game. You have a tendency to lose those on this show. So I am trusting you right now. The Denver Broncos at 10-2. Can the Chiefs hawk them down, or is it chalk?
It's chalk. Moving on.
Yeah. The New England Patriots.
Chalk.
Also at 10-2. Making a lot of chalk there. That schedule.
The most chalk. Even if they lose their division, they will not get hawked by the Kansas City Chiefs. This is where it gets interesting, though.
Does it? Jacksonville Jaguars at 8-4.
They are way more hawkable than you think.
Ooh.
Can I give you the remaining schedule?
I know the schedule's tight, but okay.
So we've got 2 games against the Colts and a game against the Broncos. They've already got 4.
Mm-hmm.
If they get swept on those 3 games, I think it's very gettable. Now they have the Jets and the Titans in between there, but I think that's a really tough 3 games for them. And I'll just say this, like, I think one of the AFC South teams gets hawked. I will say that of those 2, of the Colts and the Jags, I think they are they are more hawk than chalk. But I wouldn't be stunned if the Jaguars wind up losing 7 games. I'll just say that.
So I get what you're going with, and the schedule's tough, but here's the thing. They also have the tiebreaker over the Chiefs, so they have to lose all 3 games for the Chiefs to be able to pass. They can't lose 2. They cannot steal one of those games. They have to lose all 3, which is entirely possible. I'm not saying it's not, but I mean, we're about to do the Colts. I think it's gonna be tough to list them both, the Colts and the Jags, as hawkable for the Chiefs because they kind of have to win when they play each other. So like you're either right now banking on the Colts are going to sweep them, or they're going to split, or the Jags win. I'm going to go the Jags are chalk, and I think they're a terrible football team. I think they're a bad football team, but I think it's chalk. I think the fact that you have to lose all 3 is pretty tough.
If I'm looking at the landscape of the South, they are the least hawkable. But I think it would not be. I'm not going to be surprised. One of these AFC South teams is going to get hawked by the Kansas City
for sure.
If they win out. Yeah, maybe 2.
Okay.
Anyways,
Baltimore Ravens at 6-6, the same record as the Chiefs. Now, here's the thing: they're different divisions, right? So you can't really, the Chiefs can't bump the Ravens necessarily out of the playoffs here. But can the Chiefs end the season with a better record than the Baltimore Ravens?
They will. How about that? You ready for that? I actually think here's the thing. I did the playoff predictor to kind of look at this. I think the winner of the AFC North is 9-8. It's a 1 bid team. It's a 1 bid league.
Oh, so you got the Froggles winning out.
No, I don't have the Froggles winning out. I think look, the remaining schedule for the Ravens, home against the Steelers, at the Bengals, home against the Patriots, at Green Bay, at Pittsburgh. I think there's a chance it's 8-8 Ravens and Steelers on week 18 on Sunday Night Football for the division.
I hope
I
so.
think that's where this might be heading. Big Hawk. Big Hawk.
Yeah. Yeah, they're
Whoa,
the same. They have this.
Gotta be careful there.
Nah, tonsiled. Yeah, and so they're the same record as the Chiefs. It's just a matter of who wins more games on the way out of here or not. It's like that's obviously easy to catch up on.
By the way, the Ravens are not good this year, guys. Like I'm sorry, they are not a good football team. As not good as the Chiefs are. This like assumption that like I'm not convinced that the Ravens will make it to the playoffs. I'm just not. They're not good. They don't look good. They don't have the
their competition's not good either.
Yeah, but their remaining their schedule is not easy. I'm just saying. I don't think they're very good.
Is the Steelers any easier though?
No.
Yeah. We're going to talk about them in a second too. Okay, so now we're into the wild card teams. So these are the teams that actually matter so since we went ahead, and now the right answer for a lot of these would have been chalking up everybody that was winning their division. Right, and then because the Chiefs obviously can't, if we're saying they can't catch the Broncos, it doesn't matter if they can do the better record than the Patriots. Whoever wins the South, whoever wins the North, doesn't really matter. But this is where it really comes into play. Los Angeles Chargers at 8-4 are currently the 5th seed. Can the Chiefs catch the Los Angeles Chargers?
Yes, and they will. They will hawk them. I think the Chargers might get 9 when it's all said and done. I don't buy. I think they're gonna suck on the way out. And if you look at their schedule, reading their schedule?
Their schedule is brutal.
Philly, at home, which doesn't matter because Chargers don't have a home field. Chiefs on the road, Cowboys on the road, Texans at home, Broncos. They go 8-9. Would not be remotely surprised
the 1 seed. They might be fighting for the bye at that point in time, honestly. Like there's a very good chance that them and the Patriots are still in lockstep fighting for the first seed at that final game. So it might not even be a gimme win. So yeah, easily hawkable.
Easily hawkable.
All right, next up, also at 8-4, the Indianapolis Colts, who the Chiefs have the tiebreaker over, so they just got to get to the same record.
I think, yeah. Also, more hawkable than the Jags. Their schedule at the Jags, at the Seahawks, home against the Niners, hosting the Jags, Texans week 18.
Oh, golly.
Uh-oh.
It's a lot of losable games there. The Chiefs really need these AFC South teams to split a bunch of their games. Well, the Jags can win all the games, honestly. They really need the Texans and the Colts to kind of divvy up these games so they're catching extra losses to really help them out. Because, I'm with you. We talked, we're not going to talk about the Steelers. I guess I'm going to jump to the Steelers right now, actually, just to make this thing a whole thing. Steelers are 6-6. Are they catchable for the Chiefs? Yes.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Great. Moving on.
Right. I just want to be very clear. So, I don't think if we're talking about the Chiefs making the playoffs, we're not really concerned what's happening in the AFC North, right? I think we all believe the Chiefs will be able to win. If the Chiefs are going to make a real push, they will be able to win more games than the Steelers or the Ravens by the end of the season. So that's step 1, is beating them. What you can't have is, let's call it the Colts. Can't just lose every game to the AFC South, because the Chiefs kind of need some other people. They need the Texans to catch a loss besides the one the Chiefs are going to give them. Actually, that gives them the tiebreaker, right? I don't want to run all the scenarios right now, but I just essentially, you need the AFC South to split a bunch of games is what we're trying to boil this down to, right? You don't want just one team getting all the losses.
I think you're
right. Buffalo Bills at 8-4. Did they tiebreaker over the Kansas City Chiefs? Are they hawkable or not?
No, I don't think so. Ooh. I think the Bills have, looking at the remaining schedule, they've got
2 free wins.
Bengals at home, Patriots on the road, Browns on the road, Eagles at home, Jets. So I think there's 2 losses at most on there. That's 11-6. That's the tiebreaker. I think they're chalk.
Yeah, I put them kind of, I think, where the Jags are right now is I could actually see, the Bills haven't been great this year. I could see them even getting I could see them getting the 2 losses with the tiebreaker. I guess theoretically, I could see a 3, like, Joe Burrow's back for the fraud goals, and maybe they are able to muster up some kind of big win here against the Bills. Did they go into New England and lose again to the Patriots and then fall? Like, there's 3 games that could be tight left on this schedule, right? But at the same time, do I expect them to lose all 3? Probably not. I think the Browns and the Jets are kind of free wins. So I would kind of put them with the Jags. And I don't think they're catchable. I think those are both chalk because of the tiebreaker. It just seems a little unlikely for me. Mm-hmm. And then finally, the Houston Texans at 7-5, 1 game ahead of the Kansas City Chiefs, and they play this week. So really, this entire activity is for naught, depending on what happens this upcoming week.
Hawk. It all comes down to this: like you win out, you've got to beat the Houston Texans. That means you do have the tiebreaker over them. I feel good about that. So yeah, they're a Hawk. They're a Hawk for sure.
Yeah. So realistically, I mean, we don't have that many teams that are like completely out of reach for the Chiefs, right? It's mostly we just went Broncos, Patriots. We both agree on the Bills. I had the Jags, I think, up there because I just don't expect them to fall apart in all 3 games because I don't think that of their 3 games that you would expect. No, it's the Jags. They could lose a game against themselves. They could lose a game on the bye week at some point in time. I wouldn't put it past them. Like, that's entirely possible. So them just randomly losing a game to the Jets or the Titans is entirely plausible. But if I'm just kind of expecting how this works out, I don't think they get swept by the Colts would be my ultimate guess. I don't think that happens. I don't think the Colts are that good, especially if Daniel Jones's legs broke. And so
he played okay for having a broken leg this week, though. I will say that. Like, props to Dan Jones.
Yeah, props he fought through. Painkillers are a hell of a drug. And so I think the Jags. I think the Jags are probably tough to catch because I don't expect them to do that. But I mean, they're alive. They're alive. It's not great, but they're alive.
I think the AFC South could not cannibalize maybe doesn't have to cannibalize it quite as much as you think because the Chiefs do have the tiebreaker over the Colts. I could see the Chiefs jumping the Jags and the Colts pretty easily. I don't think it'll happen, but it's just a matter of like put it this way. There's a scenario where the Jags get swept by the Colts and the Colts are 10-7 and so are the Jags. So that's actually the scenario. I played the rest. I use playoff predictors. I don't know if anybody else uses it. It's a tremendous little tool. I played the whole scenario out, kind of just guessed what I thought it would look like. Do you want to hear this real quick, Maddie?
Sure. I do. I want to say, I know in the chat we have people, somebody, TTT, SSSS, saying, hey, the Chiefs aren't mathematically out if they lose the Texans. Fully understand that. I am well aware that there's like a 20% chance that they can still make the playoffs if they lose to the Texans. I think this team cannot lose the Texans and muster up enough wins after that to make the playoffs. I think if they lose the Texans, it's not a mathematically they're eliminated. It's a mentally, emotionally, physically, whatever else you want to call it, they are eliminated. If this team cannot rally for this game against the Texans, it becomes so much more difficult. And I think at that point in time, the team itself is chalk.
All right, so I'll give you how I see things going right now. I'll go NFC first. We got Seahawks with the 1 seed at 14-3, Packers 2, Eagles 3, Bucks 4, Rams 5, Cowboys 6, and Bears 7. I think the Cowboys might sneak into this thing. I really do think they might sneak into this thing. They're playing good football.
That's a good. I think they're a pretty solid football team. I think the secondary
they went out. They're in good shape.
Bad. Yeah, the secondary is scary bad, but I think they get enough pressure up front and then have an offense that can compete. And that's what it is. If they get into an offensive scoring match, you can attack their secondary, but you better put up points to match their offense, and they have guys that get after you. So I'm agree with you. I think Cowboys are a sneaky good play. They might catch the Eagles depending on how that train wreck goes.
Lions, Vikings, Chargers, Commanders, Giants. That's the remaining schedule. It ain't that scary, man. I think they might backdoor into this thing. I really do. I think they could. All right, so here's the AFC side. I think the Patriots are the 1 seed at 14-3. Give me Broncos, the 2 seed at 13-4.
Ooh, hold on, quick. Which 2 games do the Broncos lose?
Chiefs and who else did I give? Packers.
Okay.
I think
Reasonable.
Chiefs and Packers. 3 seed Houston Texans, 11-6. I think they win the remaining 4 games. Cardinals, Raiders, Chargers, Colts. Not exactly a gauntlet. I think the Houston Texans are coming out of the AFC. I'll skip the 4 seed for now. Buffalo Bills at 12-5.
Okay.
I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are 11-6. I think they go beat the Colts at home, beat the Jets at home, lose to the Broncos on the road, lose to the Colts on the road, and then beat the Titans at home. That's 11-6. And then if the Chiefs win out, they're in. The one sidebar, Maddie, I actually, in this scenario, in the scenario I have, the Chiefs could actually go 10-7 and still sneak in.
Yeah, no, I know it's entirely. Yeah, it's entirely possible. Like, I want to be very clear. I understand that. I just don't think that you can lose. I don't think that you can lose 3 of 4 games post bye, and when you need to make a playoff push and then bounce back from it. I think you're just taxed at that point. It's not the math. Yeah, I think that's a pretty decent little run. I say this. I wasn't looking at all the other. I find it interesting that you have the Seahawks getting over the Rams for the NFC West.
Look at the remaining schedules a little bit, and I think
I saw that they play each other, which probably decides it. But I thought they also both had like one more like really challenging game. The Rams have the Lions, the Seahawks have the Colts, and like outside that, I just thought it was pretty even after that. That's all. It's crazy. I just thought it was interesting.
Seahawks at home win that one, I think. So,
okay.
Yep.
Never gonna see me trusting Sam Darnold. There's no chance.
Yeah, I get it.
But, I mean, it's not crazy. I thought that was the only interesting thing that really stuck out to me from the NFC is how you had those 2 settled.
I think the Steelers are going to pull some weird voodoo magic in Week 18 and beat the Ravens on Sunday Night Football. I don't even care who's quarterback. It might be Mason Rudolph. I think the Ravens aren't very good, and I think the Steelers they're going to 9-8 it again. They're going to Mike Tomlin.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
If the Fraud Goals beat the Bills this upcoming week, do you think they actually have a chance to go win that division? Their schedule after that would be the Ravens, who they just blew out, at the Dolphins, the Cardinals, and then the Browns.
No.
If they beat the Bills, you don't think they can run the table on those teams?
I still think they'll drop one.
Okay. That's fair.
I still think they'll drop one. I do. I'm sorry. I just can't trust them. You can't trust them, man. Can't trust him any more than Lane Kiffin. That's going to do it for this episode of the KC Laboratory. Thank you all so much for listening, watching, supporting. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll catch you later.
Still just waiting for the Chiefs to flip that switch. Everyone's certain they can.